Good evening. It is 5:30. We will begin first with our workshop. Just a little backstory. Yes, I see that we have several on for public comments, and you will have that opportunity. Originally, the first Thursday of each month was set out for workshops only. But when we got our new superintendent and we realized that we were losing out on employees by meeting once a month and hiring once a month, we chose to, on during our workshop time, to do a special meeting so we can get some people hired. But during the workshop time, that's when our staff are here to present, and is to be courteous to them. They've worked all day and they need to do their presentation, so we need to hear their presentation first so they can go home. Because when we get into the workshop, get into the meeting, we may be in executive session for 5 minutes to 50 minutes, and it's not fair for them to have to sit here to do a presentation. So we will have our workshop first, and then we will have our special meeting. So first thing on our workshop is 1.1, safety updates. Presenter Chief Finks.
Welcome, Chief.
Good evening, Dr. Addis, directors, Dr. Paluski. I am Hayward Finks, the Director of Safety Services for the North Little Rock School District. Dr. Paluski asked me to put together an update on security protocols for the school district. We actually discussed this earlier in the school year because there were several incidents across the country involving violence on school campuses. So this update is going to go back to the first of the school year and come forward to where we are now with issues that we have seen, not just here but across the country. Of course, safety services works out of the safety services building at 2525 North Main Street. I'm sorry, did somebody say something?
No, somebody came in and said something.
Oh, okay. Just briefly, the organizational structure of the Safety Services unit. I am the Director of Safety Services. We are basically in 4 different units. We have a Safety IT unit under the direction of Mr. Kevin Johnson. The Safety IT unit is responsible for all of the cameras, alarms, IT equipment that's connected to safety throughout the district. We have our cameras, Mr. Corey Patton, Vincent Eubanks, who's our crisis intervention technician, responsible for updating and maintaining our crisis emergency plans throughout the district. And then we also have a monitor dispatcher, Ms. Ashley Commons, that works in that unit out of our building at 2525 North Main Street and monitors cameras throughout the district. Every school campus we can monitor from that location. We also, all electronic equipment, such as our weapon detection systems, the Raptor technology that is in the schools, all of that is maintained under the direction of Mr. Kevin Johnson at our building. And then the next part of the security team is going to be the physical security. We have both armed and unarmed security officers. Our CSSOs are the armed security. So we have an armed officer at the front door of every elementary school. And then we have unarmed security at the middle school and the high school, and they work in collaboration with the North Little Rock Police Department, school resource officers, to provide us adequate security and an armed component at every campus in the district. We have the school nurse unit under the direction, and I'm sorry, the physical security is under the direction of Captain Carlos Corbin, who oversees both physical, unarmed and armed security officers. And then we have our school nurse supervisor, Ms. Tanya Green, who oversees the nursing unit in all of our buildings. And then we have we have 3 contracted individuals that do investigations for the school district at the direction of Dr. Paluski. The more complex investigations that need a little bit more time and expertise to complete we contract with these individuals to conduct those investigations. And all 4 units make up the Safety Services Department. And then we have Ms. Jacqueline Burnett that runs the office for us. So back at the beginning of the school year, when Dr. Polisky asked me to do an update on security protocols and what we're seeing across the country, we started the school year off with, some of you may remember, there were many hoax and false active shooter calls that were called in across the country. Here you will see where there was one called into the University of Arkansas. In the report here, you will see where other campuses across the country were also victim of these false shooter alerts. And especially at the beginning of the school year, it was quite concerning. You know, that's at the top of everybody's awareness as far as, are the students safe when they go to school? And so here you can see the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville police responding to these fake calls. It takes a lot of manpower, a lot of resources, because every time you have a call, whether it's fake or not, you have to respond. We want law enforcement to respond quickly, because every second count if it is an active shooter. And so this was on August 25th. On August 27th, we didn't, but there was an actual shooting event at the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, where 2 people were killed, 17 people were injured. It just shows how critical it is that law enforcement respond appropriately until they know for certain whether they have an active shooter event or if it is a hoax. And this is just a primary example of why it's important for them to respond quickly. September 8th, about a week later, there was a shooting at Tulsa Elementary School in which 2 individuals were injured and several others were involved. And the shooter in that incident ended up taking their own life. Approximately a week after that, here at our own back door, we had an unfortunate incident where a bullet literally fell out of the sky into the arena, the stadium, and struck a fan attending a game here at Charging Wildcat Stadium. You know, it was a very unfortunate incident, but we wanted to, in this particular case, make sure that we reviewed all of our security protocols to make sure it wasn't anything we missed or anything we could have done differently to prevent this. Immediately after this happened, within a couple of minutes, our team, Mr. Kevin Johnson, Corey Patton, was reviewing our cameras and working with the North Little Rock Police Department, and we were able to quickly determine that that round was not fired inside of our stadium or even on the grounds of the North Little Rock School District. And literally, there was nothing that we could have done to prevent what happened. It was just a very unfortunate incident that occurred during one of our football games. But as I stated, working with the North Little Rock Police Department and the equipment and the setup we have in our security department, we were able to work with their detectives that night and pretty much come to a conclusion that that round did not come from within our stadium, and we did not have a breakdown in our security protocols that were in place. So going to the protocols and what we have in place to keep our students and our students and staff safe here at the school district. First thing, all of our security personnel go through training annually. We are continually training. We just had training Monday and Tuesday of this week. All of our unarmed security go through weapon detection screening. They know how to operate our open gate weapon detection screening units. They are trained and certified to carry and use Narcan. They are trained on stop the bleed, CPR, de-escalation techniques. They all go through youth mental health first aid training and report writing, crossing guard training to make sure that they are safe when they are handling traffic to get the pedestrians across the street safely. And then they are all certified through the state of Arkansas through the Security Training Institute of Arkansas as security officers. And then our commissioned security officers, which are the armed officers, go through the same training. In addition to that, they go through active shooter training provided by the North Little Rock Police Department. They attend the Arkansas Safe School Conference during the summer, which is very good information that helps us keep abreast with what's going on, not just here, but across the state. And of course, we require all of our armed officers to go through psychological evaluation pre-employment. In addition to that, Captain Corbin prepares a briefing report weekly and sends it out to all of our security personnel. In this report, Captain Corbin compiles incidents that have happened across the country so that we can stay abreast with the trends and see if there's anything that we need to be paying attention to make sure we don't have incidents here in our school district. The next couple of slides are just incidents or examples of what's on that report. You're seeing this one on October 7th in Springfield, Alabama. They confiscated a handgun and a backpack. All of these incidents, Captain Corbin compiles into this report, sends it out weekly to our officers, and then at the bottom of the report, he has key takeaways, so that like in one incident, it was around homecoming time, and there was actually a shooting at several different campuses related to homecoming. So we get that information out to our security officers, to the North Little Rock Police Department, and see is there anything different that we need to do? Do we need to beef up security because of what we have seen occur at other districts? So that report is very useful, very good information to make sure that we stay on top of what we're doing to deter crime here at North Little Rock. In addition to that, our armed officers, it's very important that they go through extensive firearms training. We're very particular about who's carrying a firearm on our campus. We take it very seriously. So they go through both classroom training on firearm training. We go through significant range training. We have 3 individuals in our unit that are actual firearms instructors, and then we work also very closely with the North Little Rock Police Department and North Little Rock SWAT unit as far as training on firearms for our people that are carrying weapons in our buildings. In addition to that, we do a lot of classroom training on active shooter and how we expect them to respond to active shooter events in our buildings, and then we actually go through, this is actual training. That's Mr. Patterson, who's at the back of the room in the middle picture there, showing our officers going through actual training on active shooter with role players. And we do this several times throughout the year. Next, the North Little Rock School District was amongst the first school districts to utilize the open gate weapon technology. It's catching on throughout the country as far as the open gate weapon technology. It allows us to screen every student coming into the high school and the middle school daily to make sure we don't have weapons coming onto the campus. And then we also have open gate at every elementary school to screen all of the visitors coming in and out of those buildings throughout the day to make sure we don't have weapons coming onto the campus. In addition to that, throughout the day, we take our open gate detectors in the middle school and the high school, and we do what we call random scans. We can adjust the sensitivity on the tower so that, in the morning, our focus is getting the students in as quickly as possible and make sure firearms and weapons that can cause mass destruction are not coming into the building. After we get everybody in, we can take the units and adjust the sensitivity on them, go throughout the building and do scans and look for things that we don't necessarily have time to check in the morning when we're getting everybody in the building. And it also helps us to monitor the bell-to-bell no sale law that has been implemented. Is that better? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so we, as of December 19th, these are the numbers on the phones that have been confiscated using the open gate weapon detectors at both the high school and the middle school. 278 cell phones, 10 vapes, 75 earbuds, 5 tablets, and you can see the rest of the things that have been confiscated. We actually did a scan today at the high school and recovered 22 cell phones, 2 earbuds, and 1 large pocket knife. So, I think that the random checks are definitely helping to keep the campuses safe. And we are getting a lot of positive feedback, both from staff and students, on the checks that we are doing. Raptor technology we've been using for several years. These are just some numbers on the amount of people that have gone through Raptor and the checks that are being done to help keep our campuses safe. We utilize Stop It, which is an anonymous app that can be used for bullying and also for just anonymous tips. And there is also suicide prevention personnel connected with Stop It 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We utilize the standard language that was recommended by the state of Arkansas as far as on all of our campuses to make sure we're speaking the same language and everybody understands when we say lockdown, what lockdown means, or if we say evacuate or shelter, everybody understands the definition with that terminology. We have put a lot of work into updating and maintaining our emergency operation plans. They are Mr. Vincent Eubanks is responsible for keeping those up and working with each campus to make sure they are updated annually. And we also have a district emergency operation plan, and Dr. Paluski has had us do training with our command staff on several occasions to make sure our command staff is adequately addressed on what they need to do in an emergency situation. And out of our building at 2525 North Main, I was saying that we have a dispatch monitor, and this is our camera set up there where we are able to monitor the cameras throughout the school district from one location. And through our enhanced radio capabilities, we can reach out to the security personnel and let them know if we need them to move from one location to another and what we need to do as we keep up with it and monitor it throughout the day. So my presentation was a little quick there.
No, you're fine.
But that concludes. Are there any questions?
Any questions on my left? Any questions on the right?
Great report. We're proud of you. We're proud of the way this district has gotten with this safety and security. And I know that you have people come to you wanting to see what we've done because they're trying to do the same thing. So thank you.
Any questions?
Oh, I was going to ask, do we still have it at night, monitoring at night our schools? In the old day, I remember they used to do that.
We have monitoring if we have events that we think we will have large crowds, our football games, the larger basketball games in attendance, we do. And then myself and our team, the IT team, we all monitor the cameras pretty much 24/7 because we have access on our phones and iPads. And so we have alarms that go off all the time. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, we have alarms to go off all the time, and we'll pull up the cameras and take a look and see if we have anything so that we can assist North Little Rock PD as they respond to those events. So, and then we know that we have like our custodial staff that leave the buildings at certain times, and so we'll pull the cameras up and monitor the alarms to just make sure everybody's safe. So we don't have anyone on staff just sitting at a desk monitoring the cameras, but our cameras are monitored pretty much 24/7.
One question, every time you pass the academy at night, that is the darkest place. Are you able to actually pick up anything?
A lot of our cameras are, they have what they, low light capability. So
Okay.
even if it's dark, we're still able to monitor and see what's going on with the cameras that we use.
Okay, thank
We
you.
can take a look, though. I'll get with Mr. Washington, and we can take a look at the lighting conditions at the academy.
It's
but-
pitch black. And
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
I know in certain spots, maybe you got your camera, but any given time that if you pass there, it's always very dark.
We'll take a look at that and see what we can do to enhance the lighting.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just really quick just want to say thank you for the information, and I just remember the preliminary conversations about improving our safety and security. I can't remember which school, was it Uvalde? When
Yes.
but right before, when we got ready to implement all of this, that's when all of that happened. So I remember a lot of our conversations prior to, and we did not want to be that. And I thought about all of this today and how it's kind of made a full circle, because the district's chief police officer is on trial right now. So I watch it, you
Right.
know, keep up with that. And so it's, you know, I always feel like it's better to measure twice, cut once. So it's a lot of preventative measures that, you know, we as a district and as a board have put in place, and I appreciate your hard work on that and willingness to do that, and all of our safety and security officers. Much appreciated.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and that's why it was so important to our staff on the night of the incident at the football stadium to pull up the cameras and look at our protocols immediately to see if we had a breakdown and if there was something that we missed. And it was very unfortunate what happened, but you know, I'm very thankful that it did not happen because we had a letdown somewhere in our protocols.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your good work.
I do have a question on the rapture, because we need
Raptor, not rapture.
Rapture. Yeah,
If it was
That
rapture,
one.
we all leaving.
that one. Leading by example, you know, when we go to buildings, usually the first school that we go to, we show our driver's license, they run it through or whatever. Is there any way, because we go to 14, is it a way in the system where maybe when we're doing the PD and we are going to the schools to follow, doing the luncheon or doing the PD when you're doing the presentation?
Back to school.
At the beginning of the year, where we can run our driver's license once and it filters out to the other 14?
I will get with Mr. Eubanks and see, but I'm sure there's something we could work out, because it's just like with our vendors. You know, our vendors go from building to building, and we don't make them go through Raptor. So I'm sure there's something that we can do.
Because I think it's good that we do it at the beginning of the year, is like a background, you know,
Right.
even on board members. Because if we're asking volunteers to do it and we're asking our employees to do it, I think we should do it. But it would be easier if we just had to do it that once and it filter out, since we have to go to all the schools.
I agree. And so we will,
just thought.
I'll make a note and we'll see what we can do to work on that.
That was it. Great report.
Great job, Chief.
Really quick, and maybe this is more for Mr. Washington, but does the parking lot have lights
I will address all
out
of
at the
that in my
academy?
5-year plan in 2 weeks.
That's fine, but does it have lights out there now is my question.
I don't know.
Okay, got you.
It's not.
They all need to be updated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great job, Chief. Great job.
We're next is 1.2 school choice process. Presenter Dr. Leanne Stoll.
And Ms. Randall.
Oh, and Ms. Randall.
Madam President, members of the board, we're really excited to be here tonight to talk to you about school choice, because it opened January 1st, correct?
Yes.
And we're hoping we're going to get a lot of new students from this. I do want to, in Ms. Randall's defense, this presentation is going to be a little bit different than the one you were sent out, because the day after Ms. Rhonda sent it to you, the state updated the Arkansas School Choice website, so she has the most current forms now on this presentation you're going to see tonight, and we will make sure that you get a copy of that. And so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Randall. our coordinator of student-centered support services.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. We are, I'm happy to say we've already had 50 applications already for school
Awesome.
choice since it started. There's two types of school choice. There's public school choice and opportunity school choice. So public school choice lets you transfer from your resident district to a district that is not your resident school district. And then they have updated the dates. This is one of the changes. It opened January 1st, but now it runs through June 1st. The date used to be May 1st. Now the application process is open through June 1st. If you'll go ahead and click on that link, this is our new school choice webpage. If you haven't seen it, I've worked hand in hand with Mr. Barnes and his department. And if you'll just scroll down, they have interviewed parents, teachers, students, myself. I have a video on there, and it just gives parents all the information that they need. You can keep scrolling all the way down. There's all the videos. Former students are on there, current students, administrators, and just so that if anyone is interested in the North Little Rock School District, there are real faces and real names. We've also put the school profile sheets on there, and then parents can schedule a tour. There are times Mr. Barnes and his department have set up, they can schedule a tour. And then we just added frequently asked questions, so in case, they don't have to call us for everything, they can go through that list of questions. And then at the bottom is the application, and then my information if they have any direct questions. Okay, you can go back to the presentation. Opportunity school choice is a little different. This is where you can transfer within the district. So parent or guardian have this option is available to any of our students that are zoned for F-rated schools. So they can transfer to another school within our district, which in our case only applies to our elementary campuses, and then our high school, if they wanted to go to the COE, they could do that. And it has to be approved until you reach 95% capacity in that grade level that they're wanting to apply. The only caveat to that is transportation is not provided. It's just like the school choice rules, except you can do it within the district. We're having a school choice fair, so if you guys want to come out and visit this on January 27th, from 5:30 to 6:30 in the cafeteria. All of our departments will be there. Everyone in Dr. Stoll's department will have a table, the athletics department, and then all of our campuses. And it's a time to showcase where prospective and even current families can come and talk to the administrators, talk to the staff, see what that school has to offer. And again, that will be at the high school, and you guys are welcome to come as well from 5:30 to 6:30. We made sure it's on a Tuesday night, not a board meeting night, so that you guys can come out and meet some prospective families. And then that is all I have for school choice.
All right. Any questions to my right?
No questions. I do like this little FAQ section. That's something that's new, and I like that. That's really neat. And the fact that you can do a lot of the stuff online is very helpful.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Love the website. It's great.
The only pre-K.
That doesn't involve school
it
choice.
didn't-
No, they're not
Is it?
involved in school choice.
Awesome.
But yeah, the website, and click on all those links and check it out. And Mr. Barnes and his department did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great job.
All righty. We're down to the last item, 1.3, middle school program review and strategic plan.
We'd like to welcome Mr. Mike Poor, who's a partner of Ed Partners. Welcome, Mr. Poor.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, and Dr. Paluski. Thank you for allowing me to have time to interact with you once again and give kind of an update on where we are with the middle schools and the work we've done. I've already heard that there's a little bit of a joke within the North Little Rock staff that they're calling this the poor report, so it is, there's that. But we're looking at it as a we hope that you'll look at this as a very thorough report that'll be helpful, and also demonstrate the things that you asked for when we first had this discussion. So I will go ahead and take us through some slides, and I'll move fairly quickly. I think one of the things that we all should be, kind of maybe proud of and excited about is that the fact that, Dr. Paluski engaged in conversation with me somewhere in October. November 6th, we were in front of you as a board to talk about this, and you approved the contract. Then November 7th, which was a Friday, through the 21st, I believe, which is right prior to Thanksgiving break, some pretty amazing things happened during that time. There was a staff meeting with both campuses. We also then did a survey that had a lot of feedback that came from it from both students and staff. And then, of course, we started to work with Dr. Paluski and his team to gather data and information. On December 1st through 5th, we had boots on the ground here in North Little Rock. We had a team of 4 that were on campus, but as you can see on the screen here, we were purposeful about putting everybody's face up there that was a part of this report. That goes from like a Dwight Jones, who's our CEO and the former commissioner of Colorado and a superintendent in Las Vegas, Nevada at one time, to all the other folks. So you've got people that have a wide array of experiences. And I guarantee you that everybody, I've looked at this report so many times over the last 2 or 3 weeks to get it to this place where we're able to really put it out there publicly, because we knew how important this was. And so we hope, again, that we've been thorough. We hope that it's going to be of value, and that it will help everything move quickly as we go forward.
Okay, I was making sure.
From December 8th through the 19th, on that set of dates, those were the dates that once we finished the work, then we had to assimilate all this data and try to get it into a report format. There are some things that are in the report, and then what I'm going to share tonight that are positive. This is one of those positives. This is foundational. You need foundational things that are positive because those are easy to build on and build it right. So foundation, you as a board, you, Dr. Paluski as a superintendent, said we're not going to just sit and wait. We're going to go do something, and we want it done now. Okay? That's foundational, and you all voted for that. You voted unanimously to say we're going to move forward on this, and that's a good foundation piece. Second thing is that,
Excuse me just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
We're listening. None of us can open up the PowerPoints for whatever reason.
Mr. Smith went to go see Ms. Colquitt, who just uploaded those.
Okay.
So if you push refresh on your computer, which is what I've tried a couple times, that you might be able to pull it up.
Okay. I just wanted to let you know what the
I'm not sure
discussion was, because we're all like, where is it? We couldn't see it. Continue on. I'm sorry.
no problem. The second thing that what this does of the work that has been engineered with all of us really is that it signals alignment. And alignment, of course, then creates opportunities for systems to actually move forward. There also are some hard truths in this report, and the fact that Dr. Paluski never tried to back away from that in any of the conversations, because I started to have conversations with him while I was at North Little Rock to say, hey, you need to understand there's some issues, there's some problems. And he never said, well, Mike, I hope you don't say that. It was, Mike, lay it on the line, give us the whole cold hard facts. Excuse me. So that's a positive. And I think that really, and you'll hear this, that even the staff was very honest in terms of how they talked to us. The staff we met with were positive, and they were positive about wanting to make a change. And that's a really good thing. Many of them were very introspective in the fact that they were looking at it and saying, I'm going to have to do some things differently, or these are things that I know I could do even more. There is a feeling right now that the things that are going on in the district, that there is a change that's occurring, that's a part of some of the reorganization that's took place in this district. As an example, both principals shared that the principal meetings are totally different this year in terms of how they're being executed and how they're being structured and how they're more supportive of their needs. There also is a clear understanding from both of the middle school principals to say that the work that Jacob Smith has been doing there has been impactful. But let's also be real, Jacob's a late start there because he was doing dual roles within the district. And so really his level of intensity towards the schools that he works with and supports just has really started in the last, since whatever, the end of the first quarter, more or less, okay, ballpark. The background of this report, of course, is things that you all know and are aware of, and that's why you asked for this. The whole cold hard facts about, there's an F rating, and then the start of this semester, in some cases, was not what your expectations were at. We also know that North Little Rock School District went through a state board meeting in December. And so that state board meeting, I hope that some of the things that are being shared here can be looked at and say, wow, this is stuff that's really going to help us address even some things that Dr. Paluski said were solutions. It may even clarify some of those or give greater depth to them. It also may be something that could overlay into some other areas beyond the middle schools that may be helpful. The evidence that was done with this report, first off, we did utilize the systems that the Arkansas Department of Ed has to be able to pull out data. And I'm saying a few things to you just to give you points of reference so that you're able to come back to me if you want to with specific questions. So for example, performance data, on page 11, there's all sorts of data that shares just how the school report card gets put together. On page 13 of the report, it shows suspensions, okay? And that's important by grade level to understand what's going on with suspensions. When you look at page 45, which is in the back of the document, an appendix, is where staff attendance is. Those are all performance indicators. They're data that's really important to track and follow. There also is data that talks about the student and staff survey. You can find that on page 39 and 45. Again, we had high levels of participation in the surveys, both student and staff. Also felt good about the work that we did where we had one-on-one meetings and also group meetings with every type of staff and kid that you can imagine, and we were very intent about trying to make sure that if the principal said, hey, we want you to meet with these group of kids, we also took a liberty and went into a classroom and said, hey, teacher, would you mind if you just left for a while and let us talk to these young people, and so we can hear their side of the story. So we had this nice mix of trying to talk to all sorts of people. We talked to classified employees, we talked to teachers, and of course we talked to administrators, we talked to central office staff. And as a result of that, through all the time of us working on this, we ended up with really, within the report, a lot of quantitative data as well as qualitative data that I hope, again, will be useful. So, again, this is one of those foundational pieces that's positive that I want to share. There was a real openness that was there as we had these kind of conversations. There were clear wording from both students and staff saying how people cared about this campus and cared about each other. It sometimes the actions aren't matching up with that, to be honest with you, but they're saying this as a foundational piece, which is something that can be built on if we go execute with some of the other parts of this report. I hope that makes sense, that they really are saying we really love the school, we love the people we're working with, but sometimes they're not demonstrating that on a day-to-day basis, to be frank with you. A second thing is that there seems to be a motivation to get better, and that's going to play itself out, right, over the course of this next semester to see whether that's true. And also then that word that I used of them kind of being reflective within their own self and within their teams to say, here are some things that we could do better. Certainly, I felt like the principals were that way, so were the teachers, so were the classified employees. And again, that's a foundational piece that can be built on. The foundations of the report, the things that are the major findings, if you were to go take those 4 bullets, you could go pull them from any of the education books that we receive going through university training or trainings that we get kind of on the side as we go to conferences as school board members or as superintendents, principals, teachers. And a lot of times you hear the wording effective schools. Well, effective schools have all 4 of those things, okay? If you go look at John Hattie's work, which is maybe important especially for the educators, but Hattie comes up with effect size saying, if you do these things, it's going to impact achievement at a higher level. Well, every one of these things are huge effect size, meaning that if you do these things, achievement really does move forward. Culture really does move forward, okay? They're important. They're core things, though. I mean, these are core stuff. This is not anything that's outlandish or weird that have to be developed. It's core stuff that we just have to do really well. And then, of course, there's guys like Marzano that also have done all sorts of research on this kind of thing to say this is the key work. So now we'll go into the findings. The findings of within this report. Instructional systems are inconsistent and insufficient to promote student achievement. You know, the instructional quality varies across classrooms and campuses. I will share that as we walked through the 6th grade and went into those classrooms, that we found a much, much higher degree of consistency of academic performance, academics having structure, having objectives, having kids that were engaged. We saw less of that at the 7 and 8 campus. We know that what has to happen is that there needs to be student engagement, there needs to be teacher direct instruction, and there needs to be rigor. And that just, you can't check off all 3 of those boxes under the first one of instruction quality varies. That's what's going on. There is not rigor in every classroom. There's not direct instruction sometimes taking place in some of these classrooms, and student engagement, especially at the 7-8 campus, is really not where it needs to be. There's a lot of variances between these 2 campuses, and you know there's 2 different leaders, and they both are, in my mind, trying to do the very best that they can, but there does need to be a tighter grip of just what the expectations are, specifically at the 7-8 campus. Academics, Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention systems are in early stage of implementation. I thought this would be a good way to convey this not only to you but to your community. When you have like stage, let's say 3 cancer, now you're looking at stuff that's Tier 2 and Tier 3 support to come towards you. You do not, when you're at stage 3, you do not want to have that not be done and have the dose that they're telling you to do. You can't mess with that. You have to do exactly what a doctor tells you. That's not happening right now for your kids that are in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 settings. They're not getting complete care with the intervention supports that are being put in by the district. That has to be addressed. Next area is within behavior. Again, your in and out school suspension rates are found on page 13, and these 2 schools have the highest in and out school suspension rates. Well, we all know that if kids are being taken out of classrooms, they're being booted out of the school for time, then what ends up happening is they're going to fall behind. If a kid falls behind and they're out for 5 days, when they come back and they've lost 5 days of instruction, guess what? They're disengaged, they're disinterested, the teachers may be trying to catch them up, but they got the whole rest of the class. Things just keep spiraling in a bad way. So this is a challenge. And so behavior in general, first, there has to be consistency about the rules. So let me give you a couple examples of consistency issues. One, specifically at the 7-8 campus, is just clothes, hats. It is November and December. I guess we were there in December. They're still battling kids with having things on their head. We ran into a teacher that, and I was able to confirm that's why I'm bringing this up. The teacher said, I sent a kid out today with a kid with the hat. Told the young lady, you know, what you have on your head, you cannot wear in class. That's against our rules. And she goes, well, I'm not taking it off. She goes, well, then you're leaving me to no choice. You're going to have to go to see the principal. She goes, I don't care. Go send me. Sends the principal. Principal said, you got to take this off. She walks down the hall and talks to another staff member who says, don't worry about it. Go ahead and put it back on. No one's going to care. You're all right, baby. Now, that's a minor issue, really, a hat. But if it's your rule, and then what that causes in terms of aggravation within the staff, you know, and that's just a minor example. The other one is there is a rule specifically at the 7-8 campus where teachers are not supposed to send their kids out of the classroom 15 minutes before the bell. Yet, that 15 minutes before, at the end of a classroom instruction, there's a lot of kids moving and going in and out of the room. Okay? So those things can be tightened up in a hurry, and it can make a tremendous amount of difference, especially if you start to get the first thing that I brought up, which is instruction. Okay, you got to have instruction, but then you also can clean up your behavior. See if I missed any other examples. I think that's probably good for the examples. The other thing with positive behavior support, you know, that's a word that as a board member, you either should hate it or love it at this point. Because if you're like some of the board members I've worked with, like you say, how many times we got to hear about this and then I still don't see it really working? Okay? That's aggravating to a board. Superintendents, we get that. And then it's even more aggravating when you have someone like me come in with a report that says, you're not doing it well foundationally, and there's kind of some things that are gaps in terms of how people are doing it. There should be clear expectations within each room. Those expectations that are in the rooms should match up with building expectations, which then match up with your district expectations. And there are tools that the district's developed that sometimes these folks in the campuses don't know anything about. Okay? There are high-risk times, such as lunch and post-lunch periods, where there's more disruptions. Again, that's the 7-8 campus, not so much with the 6th grade. The culture and the practices are very different between these two campuses, and there's no reason that should happen. And in fact, then it probably would make me worried a little bit about, are those things also maybe creeping up into the high school, or maybe didn't happen well at the elementary? I don't know. That's just very subjective comment, so don't take that as a fact or anything, just something to think about. Our next area is on support. Novice teachers report limited access. So understand this, last year, your 6th grade campus, and I hope that I know we have the 6th grade principal here, he'll be able to share this with staff, that I did listen, because last year they had almost catastrophic issues on that campus that probably did impact some of their scoring, where they had 13 members of their staff, I believe, that's the number off the top of my head now, that were out for extended periods of time. And then you have long-term subs. That's a problem, because then you just aren't getting the best instructors in front of kids. There are 2 years worth of pretty new teachers at the 7-8 campus, and then some at the 6th grade. They would really benefit. You'll see inside the report that we're saying novice teachers need, if that'd be a good tool for you to come towards as a district, to say we're going to go support these novice teachers with some real individualized coaching. We don't do that. Okay, that's not us. But we're telling you that would be a good tool. There are people out there that do that work, and that'd probably be a good investment. I'll talk more about how board and superintendent work on these kind of investments a little bit later in the report. Many teachers across both campuses are saying they're not getting the instructional or feedback in the way that they would like to get it. Now, this is kind of ironic, because first off, your superintendent has this as a priority, that there should be instructional walkthroughs, and you'll see that there on page 15 that the number there is not good. This is also one of those things that's expected expectation within any effective school system, that you're going to have feedback given to the professionals. That is a key thing to help things get better, and also to honor when things are going right. That's not quite happening right now. And then if you look at what the State Department would tell you, they would say the same thing. I will mention that one of the things that I found out kind of after the fact, and again, Dr. Paluski didn't try to make this an excuse, he just made me aware of it. He goes, are you aware that we also have a tool for going in and out of classrooms beyond the literacy and math classes? I said, no, I didn't know there was a separate tool. And he said, yes, there is. And it's a quick one. I didn't even know about it, don't have that data to be able to share with you. The data on the walkthroughs that we're presenting to you in the report on page 15 simply are the ones going into literacy and math. But remember, that number is shockingly low, and it's not good, because those are your two areas where you're going to get tested. So we've got to have more adults going in and out of those classrooms and being able to give feedback to teachers in a thorough way. Some staff report that staffing instability, including reliance on long-term subs, That, of course, was that whole 6th grade issue that happened last year. That has caused some challenges for them. The staff surveys and interviews reflect perceptions of uneven adult accountability. So, as an example, some of the 7th, 8th grade teachers, I really thought it was kind of cool that they brought this up. They said, we're so tired of carrying the load for teachers that are missing on Monday and Friday. We're tired of it. And so I listened to them, and I said, well, let me call Mr. Smith. I said, we need to get data. Mr. Smith got us the data. You'll see that in the report on page 14 and then on page 43 and 45 that shows you have I don't know what's the right term I want to use. It's not a good number of people that are exceeding how many absences there are. And you guys have heard that terminology that if a kid misses 8 to 10 days, that they're going to be a grade behind. Well, think if a staff person is missing 8 to 10 days and what they're doing to their kids. That's a big, big issue. We also know that when you think about these perceptions of adults, people are talking bell-to-bell instruction, but now they got to go deliver it. Okay, there has to be that, and then there has to be discipline standards and norms. These are all things that are accountability, professional expectations that need to be there for the system. We also found some things with leadership. The leadership practices and expectations differ across these 2 campuses, and there's really no reason they should, especially in a district your size and with just those 2 campuses that are right next to each other. There should be really good alignment. Some of the central office roles, people are having a hard time understanding who makes the call. That sometimes is words that we hear from central office people, but also from staff people. So I think that's something that Dr. Paluski will have to work with his team on to be able to clarify more clearly. Hey, this is how this is going to go. Here's what this person is going to do. If there's this problem, it goes here. If it goes there, but we're going to make sure we're on top of this, and then we're going to all make sure we keep communicating with it. The 7th, 8th grade principal is managing a really high level of discipline issues, and that's limited her capacity for instructional leadership. She's saying that. But that one of the things that was positive about what's happened at that school is they got a new tardy policy, okay? And that has really worked. But it also stopped her from doing all this other stuff that has to be done. And guess what? If I'm just like Dr. Paluski, I want it all, okay? If I'm the superintendent, I want it all from my principal. I want everything. I don't want to back off of some of this other stuff that happens. And so we have to make sure that there's constant things of moving forward. And like I said earlier in the report, they're going to need to have some mentorship for the principal level. Walkthrough data, we've kind of already talked about that, but one of the things I want to make sure to bring up is when there's walkthroughs, there has to be feedback. And so that seems to be lacking at both campuses. And even the principal said we can do better at that. So simple things that can be given to help keep the focus. And I also have made kind of a recommendation more directly to Dr. Paluski to say, they've got a great tool for walkthrough. It's the state-approved tool, but at this point in time, I think you narrow that tool down into 2 or 3, 4 things that are critical. Say these are going to be our most important things that we can look for and have everybody on board for those 4 things, and then that's where your feedback would go. Also, a walkthrough is a good thing to mention right now as a board. That's not really an evaluation. It's about capturing the moment of what's going on in instruction and then being able to give feedback. So then you say, well, what if a teacher's not doing good? Well, then there should be a follow-up and say, hey, I'm troubled by this lesson. I just need to talk to you for a second. I just didn't see these things. Can you tell me more about what was going on? If the answers aren't right, then you can gear that towards the principal to say, hey, we need to probably have a little bit more deeper look into this person in terms of evaluation. And evaluations need to occur because there may be some people that need to be evaluated out that are not going to do the job. And staff needs to hear that because it's about kids. We got to go do right by kids. So this leads to the next slide, which is urgent action is needed. And again, I'm going to use the word that this can be positive. I know it probably sounds negative when you first see it, but it is actually positive because everything that is on that slide right now are foundational building blocks, okay? Adults on both campuses say they care and that they have pride about their kids and belief in one another. Well, let's step up and do it. Clear alignment, commitment from superintendent and board, creating a foundation, and recent and rapid improvements in the hallways are showing that when people do work together, they can actually get stuff done. So those are all things that we know can take place. So with that, then looking at the 5 priorities for action, these are all things that we're recommending need to be done, but they can be done, okay? We're not coming at you with things that are complex. We're not coming at you with things that are going to cost you $500,000. These are things that you can do, okay? And so I think your team will be able to go forward with this. First off, there has to be an action plan about creating and monitoring systems. So that's really a Dr. Paluski thing to work with his central office team. We have provided a planning tool. I don't know if that was included in the reports you all received, but we've got a planning tool so that they can actually help execute that and say, here's responsibility, here's how often it will be checked, here's when it goes up into a higher level, here's how it could even go out to the board. All those things are set up for you to be able to use so that you can monitor this in a more deep way. There has to be some things as you're doing that to say, okay, what's success and what are the metrics we're going to use, and then there has to be these regular check-ins to make sure that these type of things are happening. And so I have every level of confidence that Dr. Paluski and his team will be able to carry that one out fairly quickly. On this next one, it's a little bit more complex, even though these are things that we all were trained on as teachers, as educators. These are things that we need to do. There's some non-negotiables about instructional expectations. This actually began because Dr. Paluski and Mr. Smith went in and had a staff meeting with both campuses. And the word that I told them to use, I don't know if they did it, but I said, and this needs to be a recommitment. You know, a recommitment of we're together, a recommitment that we're going to be there, be in school, be in attendance, recommitment to following up on the things that we know are basic things that have to happen in terms of our instructional delivery. And then, you know, the support that goes around that, of course, then, of helping support novice teachers and supporting the principals in terms of some of the things that they can do with their coaching so that they can become even more effective. And then the last one is to expand targeted support for students who are off track. So I told you, like that thing, that example of a Tier 2 and Tier 3, your systems are just developing and they're a little uneven and maybe not working quite as well as they should. In some cases, you have 2 years' worth of data, so your team can determine whether or not you have the right intervention. But one thing that's lacking at the middle schools that we didn't see anyway was high-dosage tutoring, and that is something that the state actually provides a grant for. I don't know whether there's going to be more money coming out here in the second semester, but that whole thing of direct tutoring support, I think can work well. It could be another investment that you all will need to think about as a board if Dr. Paluski brings that forward to you. On behavior, you have all the pieces there. Okay, let me change the slide, sorry. You have all the things that are there as a district. It just is a matter of reestablishing them and making sure that all the expectations and routines are going to be there, whether it's on wearing a hat or whether it's how we're going to act in the hallway. You know, right now you have people carrying a bullhorn in the 7th and 8th grade campus, and you know, to me, that shouldn't be there. That's just me. I would say that, you know, you want to have kids excited to go to the room. You want to have adults there to greet them, to accept them and say, hey, how are you? And, you know, some of that's not happening. I went into one room at the 7th, 8th grade campus that I went in, and the teacher didn't know I was there for 15 minutes. The kids said, hey, because they're like, who's this white dude coming in? Okay? And, you know, and I'm like, hey, I'm good. I'm just here to visit. Well, after 5 minutes, they go, come on now, tell us what you're up to. And so I said, shoot, I might as well talk to him because I'm not doing anything else. So I'm talking to him. And you guess what? After she noticed that I was there, what then she decided to do was go get authoritarian on him. Say, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Because she's saying, you didn't do what you should be doing over these 15 minutes. Yet she missed the whole first 15 minutes of a class, which is the most critical part of establishing the lesson and the routine and all that. I was there at the start of the class. So, you know, this whole thing of expectations of what adults do and how we're going to be consistent on behavior and how we're going to treat kids is really something that can happen. I also have made a suggestion to Dr. Paluski and to the principals that I think one of the things that could help on this part of just behavior and stuff is just making it a part of all their staff meetings throughout the whole spring of just talking about this and making sure, hey, are we clear on what the core things are? Where are we having problems or issues? How are we being successful on this? Where is it not working? And just having those kind of conversations so the behavior gets even more improved. Again, the behavior issue is more at the 7-8 campus than at the 6th grade. Next slide is about strengthening feedback and accountability. We've talked quite a bit about that, but we need support, especially to novice teachers, on the frequency and quality of instructional coaching. And again, I think that probably that's going to have to be an outside source to come in because you just don't have enough people to support all those novice teachers, so you're going to have some help more likely. The walkthroughs are going to help on the feedback under bullet number 2. And then on bullet number 3, holding adults accountable. You know, first off, the word accountability so often in education is looked at as negative, and I always start with it does not have to be negative. And in fact, what a blessing would it be if even in this first week there's some stuff that starts to come to you as a board, starts to come to the superintendent, starts to come to the principal, just whatever it is that's being able to say, I saw this today. And now, it can't just be fluff. It has to be tangible stuff like we are really doing this, okay? And then it can build on itself, and it could even be pushed out in a wider array. You guys talk about recruiting, okay? That's what needs to happen so that people see that, hey, this middle school is all about kids, and are going to go support them and be there for them and really help them grow. Leadership on coaches, principals, and central office roles. I know I've covered that, but we want to make sure that there's targeted and supported to the middle school principals. That could come through coaching through a variety of things. That could be a decision that comes from Dr. Paluski to say, I want to use my own staff to do that. It could come from a retired person that's in the area. It could come from a company like ours to support something like that. Clarify the role of the central office in supporting, not fragmenting school improvement. So everybody's kind of got to be on the same page, and I think that planning tool will really help your group do that. And then align leadership actions and messaging so that everything's just crystal clear in terms of where we're going. So you're finally to my last slide. Okay, now you're like, whew. Okay, finally, he's there. I like the word that you know, Dr. Paluski and Mr. Smith and I chose about recommitment with the staff. And when you look at this, you know, that circle, I mean, everybody here can take that approach. That includes you as a board, okay? To just be recommitted to it, of saying, you know what, we're gonna have this kind of like razor focus, and everybody has to see that this is important. We're talking about kids at some of the most critical stages of their own personal development. Middle school is a tough age group. You probably all know that from raising your own kids. It's tough. And so they need us as adults. They need the structure. They need these foundational pieces for their educational delivery. And then they need to have adults that are coordinated in all their actions. So to have that happen, everybody has to collaborate. People have to work together and put their best foot forward. Don't make excuses. Don't be critical. Right now, have a slate. You can't be totally clean because this report can't just be brushed off, but it can be, here's what we're going to go do from today, tomorrow, next week, April. This is what we're going to go do to make this thing work. You've got to celebrate success. You aren't doing that very well right now, okay? There can be so much more about getting out the positivity of kids, stuff with the staff, something with the school, with the bigger system, but keep pushing the positivity on real things to be able to make it so that the whole community is aware of it, and that it'll also make your kids fill up. I want to give you an example, and I hope he doesn't mind that I'm going to give the example of your principal at the 6th grade. He was telling them with pride about how one of the intervention tools that they have is a tool that when a kid meets a certain a band, improves enough, that he gets to put his picture and his a piece of paper on the wall that shows he made this achievement. and they come down into the office area, and the kids get excited about it. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. I love that. Because I need positive, okay? I need that because that help me work through all the tough stuff. My next question was, okay, how do you do you tell the parent? And he was honest and said, no, I don't. I said, what if you called that parent? Guess what the parent's going to say? What do you do now? No, ma'am, I got to tell you something. This is really cool, okay? We need those kind of actions by adults. All around that whole circle right there, we got to have that happening. And it can. And then that's going to create this whole thing of, hey, this isn't just a fly-by-the-night. This report got done. There's a report that's been out on the email, and everybody's got it. Okay, good. Very open. It's all there. But if this thing just sits on the shelf, what a shame that would be. Okay? There are things that you all can do. There are things that Dr. Paluski's team can do. There's things that those staffs can do. There's some help from outside. I'll give you an example of some outside help. I heard athletes were screwing things up at the 7th and 8th campus. Some of the biggest problems. Guess what I did? I called Coach Brad Boulding, who I stole from you all multiple years ago. Okay, and you stole him back. So I called him and I said, hey, Coach, are you aware? He goes, wow, I didn't know that. He goes, I was planning, you know me, I'm going to be down there. I go, well, I need you to understand, we're going to need you to be down there in a tangible way, and we need you to bring some friends. He goes, what does that mean? I go, that means some of your own athletes, and it also means to bring down some of the other coaches. So these kids see, we're not taking that anymore. That's not who North Little Rock is. This is how we're going to be. I called up Deshaun Scarborough, okay, the Martin Luther King Foundation. I didn't get to tell Greg this, but I called him and said, hey, we're in a place in North Little Rock where there needs to be some positivity for kids. I hope you saw this in that report. There's some positive things that need to happen for kids. Playground not there. There's not time for them to interact. Boy, if I hadn't said that, my team would have jumped down my throat because that was so big to them. So there's things that we got to do for kids, but one of the things is Deshaun Jackson said, hey, you tell me what the project is. I'm going to be about coming over there to help North Little Rock. There are people that want this thing to go right in the biggest way. I know you do. And we thank you for allowing us the chance to be a part of helping this turnaround. And we're not done. You can tell us where you want me or not want me, and I'm going to be a part of whatever that might look like. So I'll stop with that and see what questions you have for me.
Anybody on the right have a question?
Not necessarily questions, but it was definitely eye-opening. Some stuff I already kind of knew that was going to be in there, and some of it was new information. I think that it is important, like you said, for every one of us to recommit to the task at hand and focus in on that circle, because when anything is out of line in that circle, it's going to go awry. So we have to go back and focus in on that circle. I think that, as a board, it's definitely not just one entity or one person's fault or issue. But I think that as a board, we have to go back and challenge our superintendent to make sure that that information is what the rules are and the expectations are communicated again in a way that everyone gets that information from him. And to make sure that, yes, I know it's been communicated once, and it's been communicated twice and 3 times. However, now that we have this, it can be said, this is what our findings are, these are our expectations, and this is, these are the guidelines that I'm expecting as your leader for you to follow. And I think that that's important, and I think that that is something that has to be reiterated again and again, because for one instructor at any campus to say, oh, don't worry about it, that's undermining what the rule is, basically, and it's undermining if a teacher in a classroom tells a student to remove a hat, that's undermining, and that should not happen in any campus, and I'm very disappointed to hear that. But thank you for all of that.
I'm going to take advantage of your statement, if you don't mind, and just say that it made me think of one of the things I meant to bring up on this particular slide of the circle is that, like as a board, one of the things you just said is really very valuable to Dr. Paluski, because he can say, hey, the board's behind this. This is the things we need to do. I need to make sure this is occurring. It does help. A second thing is that Dr. Paluski will eventually need to come back to you probably somewhere, I don't know, within the next month, even maybe the next meeting, where he's going to say, these are 2 or 3 things that I think we need to approve to move things forward to support students and staff at that school. That's going to be your role, but you can also then ask questions. Okay, well, tell me, if we're going to approve this, what portion of this report does that cover? You know, I mean, those are good questions that a board can ask, and that's where your role comes in. And then that monitoring piece that you just brought up of being able to say, okay, where are we at? So thank you. I hope you don't mind me taking
No, I
advantage.
don't mind, because I mean, it takes me back to at the beginning of the right before school gets ready to start, and we're going to all the different campuses to visit. That's good in the beginning, but that's just like any student that starts off working really hard at the beginning of the year, but then by the semester, their brain is not as focused as it once was at the beginning of the year. And it may be a good thing to maybe look at coming back from the new year to maybe put that in, kind of work that in some kind of way. And it could be, various ways to do that, whereas you utilize our communications department and do the video component of it and give those guidelines, electronically. I mean, it's ways to do that to where you're not wearing yourself out doing it either. So I get it. It's a lot, but that's just one of the things that you just may have to add back to your list to reiterate to just amongst all of our staff. That's it. You can go.
Okay. Dr. Pruitt, I appreciate everything that you've done with this report. It's things that the board was already aware of. And with you coming and really doing this, the only key question I have really to ask you, in your observation, was there a basic need for us to hire other employees to support these 2 schools?
Well, in some ways, yes. I don't know if you need to add extra FTE. It's really about just some additional support that can kind of go around. So like the novice teacher as an example would be, I think, money well spent to go support those. I don't know if there's 10 to 20 people that are struggling in the classroom to have an additional layer of support. I think that'd be money well spent and additional folks coming into the building. On the other end of it, I really think that, if you're thinking about like instructional coaches or interventionalists and all those, I actually think you have the right amount of people. It's just a matter of, really
Aligning
executing in a clear way. So I hope that answers your question.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Okay. But
guys getting me.
I'm serious, because to hear you say, I know we have 3 assistant superintendents, okay? And I know that they have other schools to go to. That's why I ask you, being honest, and you say, I know we have coaches, but really we have 14 schools. So with that thought in mind, I'm really trying to be objective to support the administrators, because if they can't be in 6th and 7th grade campus all day long.
Yeah, correct.
And that's what I'm asking. You see, I know where you came from. You were of the whole Little Rock School District, the largest district in the state, and you hear what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am.
So would you be reasonable enough to say, in all honesty, as you have in this report, does anybody in those, do we need any additional support to give our students?
I think that, first off, that having Jacob Smith be freed up more to be at the middle school compared to where he was at the beginning of the year is going to continue to pay dividends, and that's going to support those assistant principals and deans. the deans in particular probably need a little bit of support right now just to get them all on the same page so there's consistency. I think Mr. Smith can do that, and then I think they're going to be more effective. So I really think that you have the right people, or you have the, maybe not the right people, but you have enough people to be able to execute what needs to be done, at least for this next semester.
Okay, get the job done.
Yes.
Okay.
I do think that, in looking out, you've got, everybody will, your staff might come back to you and say, well, we're not like everybody else. And in some ways that's true. You're a large middle school, especially the 7-8 campus. And maybe there's a way to do something different there to make it so that that 7-8 campus has a little bit tighter, smaller feel. I think that's possible to look at. That also may end up creating a different way that direct support goes into kids and staff. But that's more of an ongoing thing to look at over time.
Thank you for our excellent report, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your report. The thing that jumped out at me, and I don't know how we teach this, but it's consistency. It was the hardest parenting lesson I ever learned. But I remember reading a book that said every time you ignore that behavior that you don't want, just once because you have a headache or you had a bad day at work or for whatever reason, you are guaranteed you're going to see it 4 more times. Guaranteed 4 more times minimum. And I'm like, I'm not seeing this again. So I would push through. Of course, it took a year to break some of the habits, but it paid off such huge dividends that, I don't know how you can do any of it without the consistency. And it's hard. It's really hard. That one time that someone walks by and you're on the phone and they have the cap on and you've got to say, excuse me for a minute, that cap must go. How do you teach that? That is just like, if you get that, everything else.
Well, and I think that's like one of the things I love thinking about, those kind of things, the consistency, especially when there has been inconsistent. And so one of the things I would tell you to think about is, kids need something that helps motivate them. Okay? Hey, if we can take care of this hat issue, okay, we're going to do something really cool, have an ice cream party on right before spring break, okay, whatever it's going to be. It can be positive coming back to them so they see, hey, and then kids are going to start taking care of the business. And then you got the high school people come down and helping them take care of business. So, that can help a little bit with what you're saying. But isn't it ironic that sometimes we think about, what consistency is towards kids and what they should be doing, but really we got to think about adults right now.
That's what I was thinking more of, the adults than the kids.
Yes.
Anybody questions to my left? Any questions?
I just want to say that as I started reading that 48-page report, I started sinking, and then I saw, and these are to be implemented in January of 2026, because I heard that from the State Board of Education also, and I was feeling a bit overwhelmed just reading through that, but then I recommitted, and I know that we can do this. I know that 6th grade principal and the 7-8 principal can get together, have some common things that they're both working on, so that transition from what they're doing at 6th, we're going to expect it right over here at 7th, and that just continues that way. So I know this is going to be quick because we're on a timeline here. But I also noticed the word inconsistencies all throughout too. I saw that too. It jumped out at me. But I'm going to have the faith. I think that we can we have to do this, and we will do this for our middle school students and our community. We will. And your report was excellent.
Thank you.
I don't know what the planning tool looks like. That I guess Dr. Paluski has that, but the report was very detailed, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for the report. No additional questions.
Thank you, sir.
You're so good at what you do.
When you leave a superintendency, there's things that you miss, and one of the things I loved about this that I was all in was, first off, I really appreciate Dr. Paluski, and him and I are friends. Okay, I just call it out. I am a friend of his. But the thought of coming in here to work in North Little Rock, man, my juices were going after I heard about what was going on, and then hear the staff saying, "Hey, we believe and we do this," and so that got me excited. Then to see some of the challenges, all this stuff really, to be honest with you, got me wired up, because I hope you heard me kind of get excited during this thing today, because I'm like, let's go, okay? Like, I'm ready, you may have to hire me or something, because I'm all fired up about it.
Is this your interview?
It is my interview. But I really, you can do this, guys, and you're going to have my support wherever it needs to be.
Madam Chair, before you make your closing, let me ask one more question that I just thought about. As far as like teacher coaches, I guess is what you want to call, or teacher mentors, are you envisioning, or do you see something that's like a everyday thing, or maybe meeting with this particular 101 maybe a couple of times a week? How would you frame that, if you will?
I think that
just off the top of your head.
No, I'm going to use it to not only say that, but also maybe the mentorship with principals. I think that on both those things, those are good things. I mean, we have even veteran principals and superintendents that
have
get
retired.
coaching. It's not a negative. It can be things that can enhance the practice. But with these novice teachers that are struggling, there are groups out there that actually are going to be boots on the ground, maybe as much as 3 days a week, okay? And then especially that might happen all the way for the first 2 months, then back off a little bit in April and not have to be there as frequently. That's a contract that can kind of be established with Dr. Paluski's team, but that'd be my approach. And the same thing probably would be with the principals as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to piggyback off of you.
Well, come on, honey.
Okay, because I want to know the answer to this question, and I don't know if this is when I need to be asking it, but we have the Arch Ford.
We do. I was just going to mention about
And
Arch Ford's
Can
partnership.
they
They
bring
do.
in people? Do
They
we
do.
pay for that, or is
We
that
do.
something that we do pay for?
To be a part of that co-op, that's right.
Okay,
And actually, Dr. Stoll has been the link between Arch Ford as it relates to our novice teacher support.
Okay, so we can't have them come in?
Yeah, they've already,
Oh,
yeah.
great.
You got boss and all.
Because I have a grandchild at the middle school, nothing in the 48 pages surprised me. It hurt reading it, I guess you could say. It was a hard pill to swallow to read it, even though I already knew it. And yes, like you said, we went to the state board, and it's not a when we can do it, we must do it, and we must start immediately. So I'm looking forward to the planning tool, because that was going to be one of my questions. How are we going to know when things are being done and progressing?
Sure.
So I'm looking forward to the planning tool to know, I know it's not going to happen overnight, but it almost has to happen overnight as far as the state goes, because they're looking at by the summer, what have we done
6 months.
to make it
We're out
better?
of time.
And so we've got to get on this tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to this planning. And thank you for all the information. It was very detailed, but it was painful.
And don't think we were just sitting here and didn't know it, okay?
Yes, ma'am, I know.
Thank you.
I'll just add real quick, what the planning tool looks like is the recommendations, and you go very deep in the plan itself. It's in an Excel sheet, and it basically has, here's all the recommendations of the action that need to take place, who's responsible for it, who can help, when's it going to start, how are you going to monitor it, that kind of thing. And so we'll begin to work on that with our team. And Mr. Ford, I just want to close out by saying thank you to you and your team. The reason we as a school board and a superintendent wanted to do this is to be transparent. We know the problems at the middle school, and this is going to bring them even more to the light to our public. Because here's the bottom line. We're not serving kids in our middle school like we need to, period. And that's why there's some things that have to change next week, today, tomorrow, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year, 2 or 3 and 5 years from now. And it's unacceptable, period. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That was our last workshop item.
You ain't lying. Well, there's no
I call the special board meeting to order. Roll call, Ms. Rhonda. Here.
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 Next, we're at public comments. Per Arkansas Code 6-13-619 and according to Act 902 of 2025, citizens who desire to speak during public comment must sign in prior and will be called to the podium. Speakers must meet one of the following criteria according to Act 902 and listed on the sign-in sheet: reside within the school district, be a parent or legal guardian of a student in the district employed by the district. Public comment is not a question and answer period, and as such, school board members and the superintendent do not respond to the public comments during a meeting, while we do encourage you to speak respectfully and professionally. Further, citizens will have no more than 3 minutes to speak and will not be allowed to make comments that should prejudice the board of directors concerning student or personnel matters that could come before the board for disciplinary or employment considerations, or that is in conflict with the other district policies or laws. Further, public comments that include slanderous remarks about school district employees that would violate the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, are strictly prohibited. Personally identifiable information, discussion of student educational records, or reference to student directory information is not permitted during the public comment period. Speakers who violate these guidelines will receive a single warning and be respectfully asked to redirect their remarks. Should the speaker continue in violation, the board president will end the speaker's time and move to the next individual. If the public comment goes beyond 30 minutes, that's total public comments, the board may require all public comments that go beyond those 30 minutes are not about, and they are not about matters that are on the meeting's agenda, be tabled to the other agenda items are discussed. And we only have 7, so we shouldn't go over our 30 minutes. The first one is Jerome Archibald. No? Archibald. I am so sorry. I stand corrected.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First,
Good evening.
good evening. First, I'm going to say a little bit about myself. My name is Jerome Archibald, and I'm the head custodian at the high school. I began working in this district in 2005, starting at Indian Hills School. During my time there, I placed first in the district for the cleanest school in the district and twice at the secondary level. I also placed second at 2 additional schools. I also received the Superintendent Honor Roll Award in 2009. These accomplishments reflect my long-standing commitments to maintain high standards of cleanliness and safety in our school. I am fully committed. I am a fully committed employee. I have accumulated 116 sick days, 19 vacation days, and 5 personal days to this date, which demonstrates my dedication and reliability over nearly 2 decades of service. As you consider the possibility of outsourcing custodial service, I ask that you carefully evaluate the challenges that come with such a decision. Outsourcing often leads to lower quality service and increased safety risks, which can negatively impact students' learning due to substandard school environments. School sanitation has always been essential, and outsourcing typically result in a decline in cleaning standards to what is expected and delivered by a fully staffed in-house custodial team. Our role as custodians goes beyond cleaning. We are responsible for providing a safe, healthy, and sanitary learning environment. This includes identifying and addressing fire hazards, mold, mildew, and other potential dangers that can affect the well-being of students and staff. I take pride in my work and in the standards we uphold as district employees. I strongly believe that keeping custodial service in-house ensures the highest level of cleanliness, safety, and care for our school. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wasn't
Fred?
ready for the Christmas song, that's all.
I never changed.
Miss Lee Tyler. Did they leave? Lee left. Okay. Terry Gates.
She's my favorite.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
afternoon. Good night. Dr. Paluski, board members, I am Terry Gates. I am Boone Park Elementary lead custodian. I am here today. I want y'all to look at me. A principal told me once before, I said, I'm nothing but a custodian. That's it. She called me in her office, chewed me out. I am as important than Dr. Paluski and the board members. Anybody out here, I am just as important as anybody else. And again, we did not ask for a Zoom to meet. We want person to person, eye to eye. If the company can't meet with us, something's fishy. We want to be face to face, person to person, no Zoom. Been at the district 29 years. I'm just learning how to email. I'm just now getting emails a year ago. We were not allowed to have them. We're not allowed to do on computers. You know what I can do on a computer? Turn it on and off. That's all I know.
Bless.
So we're important. Don't forget it.
Thank you. Sydney Mayor DePippa. Did I do that right?
You did. It's a
Okay.
mouthful. There's a lot of P's and I's in that last name. I married it, so yeah, I wasn't born with that one. Hi, for those that I have not met before, my name is Sydney Mayer DePippa. I am the Vice President of the PTA at Lakewood, board member of the Wildcat Foundation, an alumni class of '02, and a small business owner. But tonight I'm speaking as a parent of two great kids at Lakewood, regarding the decision to move to a third-party company with the janitorial staff. I'm in the schools a lot and can speak to how hard the staff works to keep it healthy and safe for students and teachers. I understand that a budget needs to be met. I tell my children all the time, as well as my employees, do not come to me with a problem without having a solution. You can have the dumbest solution ever, but bring something to the table. I have a very long list for you. I will not eat up my time with that, but just a couple that I have written down tonight just to throw out there is look into renewable energy partnerships like Batesville. Look at silent leak audits for your contracts and vendor agreements. Consolidate positions due to lower enrollment at the school level in the admin sector. The janitors here behind me, I think, deserve a lot, and they deserve our respect. Mr. Keith goes above and beyond every day. He's not there just helping clean or sweep. He helps me bring in boxes. This Christmas, helped me put a tree stand together with duct tape, and it works beautifully, right? I mean, it's not the prettiest, but it works. So I'd like to end tonight with just some questions that I hope you can answer or have at least thought about. How is this decided to be a professional services agreement? What board policy was used for this determination? How is it decided to use a cooperative purchasing contract? What policy was used for this determination? Will the cooperative purchasing contract substantially comply with board policy for the procurement? Cooperative contracts have historically been limited in use by other state entities, requiring pre-approval to produce the best use of public funds. You bid out these services in 2002. What changed this time? And should you do that again? Keep it local. Keep it in-house. We love our staff. Thank you.
Amen.
Megan. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Megan Seaver. I am a North Little Rock. I live in North Little Rock, and I have two kids at two different schools here in the district. And I'm here today to talk about the possibility of outsourcing our janitorial services. I don't necessarily oppose outsourcing those services, but I'm here because I think you're about to award a contract to without an RFP to a company that I don't think you've properly vetted. Have you even looked into them? Because I did, and here's what I found. $291.9 million in regulatory penalties since 2000, 163 violations on record, 140 million single settlement for wage theft affecting 50,000 workers. The Memphis School Board rejected them twice last month, saying they, quote, have evidence that this is a risk. 35 Memphis schools, starting this month, said they'd rather have no janitorial services rather than have them. And they promised to save Chicago schools $18 million a year, but those contracts ballooned. They canceled them, and it took 10 years to rebuild in-house janitorial services and costs millions in transition costs. So maybe outsourcing makes sense, maybe it doesn't. But selecting a company with $300 million in penalties that was just rejected by Memphis without ever doing an RFP, I don't think that that's responsible governance. So I'm asking you to table this vote, to issue an RFP, to check your references, and then share the cost analysis publicly. Now, you mentioned that you're a measure twice, cut once kind of person, so I'm asking you to measure twice on this issue. Thank you.
Gwen Jackson.
Good evening, Dr. Paluski, Madam President, other members of the board, and basically everybody else has said what I would say, but here it goes. There is a quote that states, anything worth having is worth fighting for. And the custodians that are here present tonight feel and think that their job is worthy of the fight and are making that known by their presence here tonight. From the times that I've attended board meetings since, I think, September, I have learned that this is a board that is driven by data. It is a data-driven board. And there have been impressive PowerPoint presentations presented at this board meeting from one group or another. However, as it pertains to the North Little Rock School District custodians who have requested a in-person meeting, they have in essence received a trash presentation. They have been ignored. They have been emailed a Zoom link to log into and not even given the proper time to prepare for the Zoom meeting. And as Ms. Terry has stated, she just started receiving emails last year. And she only knows how to turn on and off a computer. How many of our other custodians are the same? I don't know. But I'm saying they deserve an equal show at the table. We have invited ABM to present to us person to person. Mr. Poore has presented to us person to person, but what our custodians have been given is a behind-the-screen presentation, answering questions, asking questions, and having someone behind the screen answer their question. They deserve more. And it was my understanding, I could be wrong, that the board did request a meeting. Now, whether it was descriptive as to what type of meeting, but I think the understanding was an in-person meeting. And I just learned today that the meeting that was scheduled for the 5th and 6th of January, well, the 5th meeting was canceled, and they held the meeting on the 6th. They received notice of that meeting a few hours before the meeting was to be conducted at noon. Now,
Your time's up, ma'am. I'm sorry.
we plan, let's do better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Lemon.
Uh-oh. So first, thank you. Superintendent called me this morning, said that I don't know what to call it, dangerous book policy will be revised, and then the 50 so books will go back through. That's all I'm asking for. I'll keep an eye on it. Everyone I talk to says they'll be banned anyway. I don't actually think that. I'm hopeful. To the custodian issue, but first, thank you. I've been here a lot talking about that one issue. I'm glad it actually came to something. I'll teach my son. I do it specifically because I want a community where we have tolerance for each other. So long as somebody is not harming somebody else, we need to give them the space. What I see out of when my son joined kindergarten, kindergartners don't have that. They know the rules of their household, and they want to enforce that with everyone else around them. So this idea of differences, it's why I sent my son to public school, and that's the value that I'm searching for here. For the custodian issue, this is me talking as a parent. I'm scared of a high churn rate that comes from these kind of outsourcing. I work as an engineer. I've done outsourcing before. We get Indian programmers. What inevitably happens is you try to cut costs by doing that. You get really poor work, and it ends up costing even more. For this, it strikes fear in my heart as a parent, having a high churn workforce going into the school. Jacksonville schools already had an issue where there was a predator type thing going on. I'm not privy to the details, but the number one defense against that isn't just background checks. That's the basic level. We do that anyway. It's reducing that high churn workforce, and we do that by hiring directly. It's important. And again, value-based system here, teaching my son. We all belong. We all work together. I've been AI engineer evaluating new AI tools. The promise I have is since November, there has been a step change. I have been looking at the budget, trying to see, we do need to pay teachers more. It's crazy. Little Rock School District has an advantage because of their size. They're paying like 25, 33% more. It's crazy. They get more funding per student. I thought the state equalized it. They don't. They get like $1,800 more per pupil. We're shafted. Jacksonville is in about the same boat as us, and in fact, their score, they almost failed. So if you treat it as a probability distribution, we're in the same boat here. Looking at the budget, I haven't seen anything crazy. This is me trying to see where I can help. Our support services are higher. That might just be reflective of where we are in our community. I'm not privy to those details. I'm going to try and wrap this up and give it to you guys. What I'm offering is my help as a thank you for the gay book ban and trying to reverse it. I can help you use the AI tools. I do this for my job. If you have a lot of data you need to go through, spreadsheets you need to compare from different school districts, seeing where we're different, I can help you. Please reach out. I'll send you what I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. First action item, that ends our public comments. First action item is 4.1 ABM proposal.
So, Madam President, I think Mr. Brown come forward. Mr. Brady's here from ABM and Colonel Steiner. At this point, we do not have any formal presentation. You had asked for question and answers. I think there's over 100 that you had before the break, and we provided that information to you as well as the public. So there are no formal presentations, so I'll just let you turn it over here, boss.
Are there any more questions to my left?
Question.
Anybody else have a question?
I have
Go
a
ahead.
statement.
Wait. You go.
Go ahead.
So, I have a statement.
Okay,
So
go
do I
ahead
wait
with
till
your,
the vote?
no. Go ahead.
Okay. And some of this has already been mentioned from the public comments. The decision to utilize cooperative purchasing for this contracting out custodial services and the process used is concerning to me. When I inquired about the bidding procedure used to select this vendor when this first started, I was informed that this was categorized as a professional service purchase. Subsequently, I learned that the selection of the vendor was moved through the cooperative purchasing process. Because of this, I'm not convinced that the custodial services meet the definition of professional services. Rather, I believe they should be classified as commodities. According to the state regulation, any commodity service exceeding $26,800 requires the execution of a traditional bidding process, which was done back in 2015 and 2016. Okay? The Arkansas School District bid processes are established to ensure transparency, fairness, and cost effectiveness in the expenditure of public funds, necessitating competitive bidding for purchases above a specific threshold. As board members, we have a legal obligation to oversee and monitor the school district's finances, which includes scrutinizing expenditures. Our decision also impacts the lives of individuals who play a critical role in this school district, custodians. They provide essential services, but to my knowledge, I may be wrong, I have not heard that they will be able to be rehired as a district employee. The only option they have is that they will have to go with the contractor. Now,
That's not true.
that's not true, so they can,
Yeah, we had spoken about that if they qualify for any other position in the district, they are more than willing to do that now.
Okay.
As well as then,
okay,
if that would come to fruition.
okay,
They hadn't heard that before.
okay.
No, I'm talking, there's.
Oh,
bound
they
to be
haven't heard.
expected.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
They, I'm not saying the board.
Okay,
It has, it's been said in open session, but go ahead, yeah.
okay. I cannot support this proposal because the selection of this vendor was moved through the cooperative purchasing process. The administration has not provided sufficient evidence for this board to review, thereby hindering our ability to fulfill our fiduciary responsibility to oversee and monitor the school's district finances and expenditures.
Okay.
You want to make a statement?
I will. In the last 24 hours, we had communication from the superintendent that our legal counsel had said that this process is a legal process.
Correct.
So let me just go from a different tact here, because I think of our custodians as our custodial family. And I think we've asked every question that could be possibly asked to this company and gotten lots of answers for all of the questions that we had. And I think that this transition can provide things, ABM can provide things for our custodial family that I am happy about, and I'll say what they are. Our custodial family, some of whom are sitting right out here in front of us, will be getting the same pay that they're getting for working for the school district right now. The company has agreed to that. Our custodial family can stay right here with us. We will have you with us, and that's going to make a lot of people in the schools happy that you will be continuing with us. Our custodial family is going to get a raise every year because we're going to be paying the CPI, or Consumer Price Index percentage. Usually it runs between 2 to 3%. We'll be paying that to ABM, and they're passing that on to y'all as a raise. So you'll be getting a raise every year. Our custodial family is going to have a 401k retirement plan. I'm not going to get into the particulars of the 401k versus the Arkansas Teacher Retirement System. There are differences, but I can tell you this, not every employer has that kind of benefit, the 401k. They don't all have that. You can go someplace else to work, and they won't have a 401k for you where they're going to match what you put in to your retirement plan. Some of y'all are already vested in the teacher retirement system, so you can, at the age that it's possible, you can retire and draw from your teacher retirement and from your 401k. So I think that's critical that this company does offer that to our custodial family. I also like that our custodial family will have an opportunity to advance their employment with ABM and explore new possibilities if they want to. They may not want to do that, and that's fine, but the possibilities are there. And this one makes me absolutely giddily happy. Y'all will not be looking for another job. You have a job. The district has this company that says they're going to take you if you want to work for them. An added bonus to this is that the district can save $400,000 to $500,000, and I'm interested in the budget of this district also. And we can save $400,000 to $500,000, maybe more, depending on how much we would save, maybe with substitutes that we have to bring in. So I am in support of this company taking the custodial services.
Do you have anything you want to say?
I just want to be clear with our custodians here. 2 or 3 of you are not only employees of the school district, but you're my personal friends. 2 or 3 of you have helped me numerous times. As Lakewood PTA over here has stated, you guys have opened doors for me for years. I've been PTA for 15 plus years before I took this seat. So many of you have opened those doors for me. Many of you have helped me break down those boxes. Many of you have helped me carry food because I'm a band booster and I'm in the concession stand every Friday night. Many of you have helped me numerously over the years. I have your cell phone. You have my cell phone. We see each other in Walmart and Target. We say hello to each other. I feed some of you, and I will continue to do it, with or without you being NLR or ABM. I say that to let you know we are family. We do take care of our own. So I want to make sure and be clear on this. And Brian, I'm going to pick on you because you're my bestie. So Brian, I see you having a job here with ABM. I see you in management. You and I are friends. I can tell you this, and I'm saying it openly. I see the growth that you can have with this company, but you and I are friends, so we can have this conversation. But in the event you don't want to open my doors any longer and help me break down my boxes and take my trash out on Friday nights, which I don't blame you. It's a hard job. In the event that you don't want to do that, you have the opportunity to do something else throughout the school district. You want to come work with kids? All right, let's do it. Let's go be a para. Let's go be a teacher's aide. You want to go work to maintenance? All right. Let's call Mr. Washington. Let's get you a position over there. You want to go to the cafeteria? I hear they actually pay more. Shh. Let's go do it. So you're going to have some opportunities here. This is not a goodbye. This is a different opportunity. And again, some of you are some of my really good friends. We have decades together. Dr. Paluski sent us an email, what'd you say, in the last 24, 48 hours, discussing the possible inappropriate or illegal, I don't even know how to process. I don't even know how to call it. So here's my question for you three at the table, you two, Brian and Colonel. Would it cost us to get a new RFQ? Just out of curiosity, does it cost us to get one? I know we had to do these others. I'm just curious. Yeah. Does it cost?
I don't believe it would cost us anything just to put out an RFP for those services. Mm-hmm. We could do that tomorrow.
Okay. I only ask because it was brought up in the last 48 hours. Do I think we've done anything wrong? No. Can I put my head on the pillow tonight and know that we've done everything that we did correctly and for the best? Yes, I stand by that. As board members, we have to make hard decisions. And as that, the budget is one of them. I mean, Mr. Lemon, I'm going to use your words. There's no fluff in that budget. We are down to bare bones. We know this. We understand it. We're flipping over seat cushions and stadium seats looking for pennies. With that being said, I do support this, and thank you.
Angela. Ooh, excuse me. Miss Person
First, I want to thank the parents from Lakewood for supporting the custodian. And as parents, that's, to me, is saying the collaboration. But to me, this is a sad day in the North Rock School District. Sad being I've been in the district for 55 years, and I've never in my lifetime to have taken the lowest paid people in the district, take their benefits from them to save $400,000. the lowest paid people in the district, you take the health, the Arkansas teachers' retirement, the longevity, and you think I ought to be singing Kumbaya up here? Not today and not forever. This is a sad day for the North Rock School District when we forget those who have opened doors for us and they were getting mega pay. And my statement with this, custodians, as long as you have known Dorothy Williams and I have known you, I stand for the right, for the have-nots, and for those who have. It's an equal playing ground. And so to me, to your custodians, I want to say that I appreciate you because you came to every meeting. You tried to fight. I appreciate your leadership of the person, classified person. But to me, if we're F district, I can say we flunked also got an F dealing with custodians. Thank you.
Ms. Personworth. Ms. Personworth.
I heard you. So I was one of the people that did ask for conversations with ABM, and I felt that it should have been a little bit more personable. And because I looked at when we got the information as far as our questions emailed to us, I looked at the times and I thought about the people that were part-time that were coming in later, or they may come in towards the beginning of the day, and if they had a chance to take advantage of that. And I then thought about some of my older relatives that I had to drive to their house to help them to get on a Zoom. So I've said this the last time, and I'll say it again. My grandfather was a Little Rock School District custodian for over 40 years. And I understand how those relationships can be formed and what all we need to do as a district and our fiduciary duties as far as making sure that we have operating funds. But I want to make sure that once we make certain decisions, I want to make sure that you all have the information. And I feel that it should have been an in-person in-service. That way, our employees can have a situation where it's more than just an hour, and they can have an opportunity to ask the questions that they need to ask to make them feel comfortable. I have been fielded with a lot of questions this last couple of weeks, and I think for me that has been a point of contention for me. And I feel that anytime you're talking about making a disruption in someone's life, not just on their end, but on our end, because there are things that we have to do, I think that they should have had the opportunity, as far as the custodian staff, to sit and ask those questions with you, Superintendent, with you, Brian, with you, Colonel Stanger, and with you, ABM. I think that should have been, where they could ask, where we had the chance to ask those questions, and I'm sure they have too, but like Ms. Terry said, if she just got email, everybody's not computer savvy, and we have to be fair about that. So for me, I'm in favor of tabling this whole thing right now, because I want you all to have the opportunity to discuss this and those items and those questions with your staff. And I feel that once they have the opportunity to ask those questions, whereas I may know the answer, they may have a different perspective or a different question about it. And I think that that's only fair. And I think that's only the right thing to do. And however, I feel that if our attorney has already said that our process is fine, then I'm okay with that. But I think that we have to give them an opportunity to say what it is and ask those questions that they need to ask and say what they need. Because what I looked on there, it was 12 and 3 or something like that. They're working. So I couldn't understand why we would do a Zoom in the middle of the day and they at the school working anyway.
So remember that on Monday and Tuesday were work days and professional development days. So there weren't any kids in school. So what typically happens is night shift comes in during the day. So just to clarify.
Right. But yes, that's true. However, and then
Please.
hang on. Y'all let me finish. In the event that is true, and I do remember that. However, if they are still getting school back ready to open up from break, and okay, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Everybody has a
So,
opportunity to voice.
So I just want to make sure that they have the information, they have the opportunity to ask what they need to ask, and they are able to bring their questions and concerns to you all. And because I think, Zoom to me, that's a little impersonable, but I think that they should have that opportunity to discuss first.
In person.
Ms. Temple?
Well, I'll just say there's probably nothing fair about the whole thing. It's just, it is what it is. And I don't know how many our number of janitors, it's 100 and...
Any given time, there's 65 positions.
62? Okay. All right. So there's chronic turnover in this. This is our core, hard-working, long-term employees that we would love to keep in the district. Hopefully we can find a position for you here. But this is a high turnover. It takes a lot of effort from HR and the staff to keep those positions filled. When someone's out to cover it, they've gone over a lot of the benefits of it. It's unfortunate, but here's the bottom line. The bottom line is we are focusing on the students, and we need the money for the teachers. We have got to do stuff for the students, and there's going to be sacrifices, and it's not to say you're not valuable. We're trying to do this in a way that honors you if it has to be done. I mean, we could just cut it loose completely. We don't have to find somebody who offers those benefits. And I mean, there's a way that could be done that would be really ugly. And this is trying to.
It's being ugly. That's what you said.
No, it could
let's
be.
let everybody say their
No, I
piece.
was just asking.
No, I'm saying it could be really ugly. You could just get a company and everybody's gone. And I mean,
that's what you're doing anyway.
Okay. All I'm saying is we do have a core that has been committed, and we want to do the best to honor them. And I don't know how we can do that better than what we've done. We need this money. We're desperate to do some fixing in this district with those finances for students. It's for students. It's for our future. I mean,
please.
Our turnover rate is 63% a year. So there's been some public comment discussion about what outsourcing means. Essentially, we outsource our janitorial staff every 18 months based off of that turnover rate. Now, like you said, ma'am, what you see behind us and people who have attended the Zooms, and we've moved the Zooms around so they all can attend, especially the last one when there were no students. And we've had teachers, including principals, helping set those up. We actually had one Zoom where custodians were sitting next to the principal in the principal's office, online, answering questions. So, and every school is different. The staffs are just different. But we essentially do it every 18 months.
All hearts are clear. I have my objections and I have questions, but I'm ready to vote. So my thing is to the board more so. It is my prayer. I always say it. I say it at everything. We are individuals. It's 7 of us. We can agree to disagree. Whatever the vote is, whatever the outcome is, remember to support the body as a whole. We're never going to always agree on everything. So let's not, whatever the outcome is, whatever it is, please, I know this is a tough subject. I know this is hard, but we've had hard ones before. I want us to, I'm praying that whatever it is, we accept the outcome and we move forward to something else. I needed to, everybody has had their words, so I've had mine.
Madam President.
Without due respect, I'm sorry, Ms. Dorothy. It was my turn. You said your piece. I needed to say mine. And so that's the way that I'm feeling. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President.
Yes, ma'am.
I so move to authorize the superintendent to take action needed to engage ABM as the district's vendor for custodial supervision beginning February 2026 and district-wide custodial operations beginning January 1st, 2026.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we, where did you read that? I'm sorry. That we authorize the superintendent to take all actions needed to engage ABM as the district's vendor for custodial supervision beginning February 2026 and district-wide custodial operations beginning January 1st, 2026. Is there any other?
Just a moment.
Could I
Yes.
ask you that January 1 needs to be June 1, 2026.
Oh, we did. I'm sorry. It does say,
June
that's
1.
my
Okay.
my bad.
Okay.
It does say June 1st, 2026.
Yes.
I am so sorry.
Okay.
Is there any other questions?
Oh, would you call the roll?
Madam, I got this.
Okay, I hope you have.
Is there any further discussion? Ms. Rondo, roll call, please.
Dr. Redis,
No.
Ms. McLean,
Yes.
Ms. Longcomb,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
No.
Ms. Temple,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
No.
Ms. Kirsten West.
I vote to table it.
Yes or no?
It has to be yes or no.
It's either yay or nay.
Nay.
There's 4 noes and 3 yeses, so it does not pass. The next item is executive closed session. Executive closed session per North Florida School District Policy 1.14A stating that private or closed discussions by the board may occur as part of a regular or special board meeting.
Excuse me, we're still in our board meeting. If you all would just exit quietly, we would so greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. West. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee, or to discuss matters of pupil punishment, if requested by the parent or legal guardian. No resolution, agreement, or motion considered in the executive session shall be legally binding unless the board reconvenes in public session and presents the item for vote of the membership. Finally, Arkansas Code Title 25, Chapter 19, Section 1062C1 states, the specific purpose of the executive session shall be announced in public before going into executive session. Please join me in the executive closed session for discussing the following matters: employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee. We are back in session. The only action item that's left is employment of personnel.
Madam President?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
also move that we accept the employment of personnel.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we accept the employment of personnel. Being that it is personnel, there can be no discussion, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. The only thing that's left is if you want to go home.
Madam President, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.